Time for a quick take. John Moran sat out with right shoulder soreness as the Grizzlies held on to beat the Houston Rockets 120-119. SA, what stood out to you most about this one?
Could y'all do me a favor, please, and take those highlights off? All right, you got me up there. I just want to make sure that I'll see in the public when I say this.
We see you.
I loved this game last night, and I want to thank the Grizzlies and the Houston Rockets for giving us the game that they gave us. That was a great game. I watched it from start to finish. That was a dogfight, okay? But I got to tell you this, even without John Moran, who obviously is a flat-out stud and just elevates Memphis, okay? But even though he didn't do that the other night against the New York Knicks at the Garden, I don't know what the hell's going on. Usually stars show up and show out at Madison Square Garden. He did not the other day, but damn it, he's great, so that's an aberration. When you look at the Memphis Grizzlies, obviously they are formidable. We can't doubt that. I got to tell you, Molly, and I can't wait till my man Wendy comes on, I'm loving me the Houston Rockets. They got a fan in me. Now, I'm a huge fan of Ime Udoka because I think he's one of the best coaches in basketball. I think he's one of the best coaches in basketball. This brother is fantastic, okay? But Amen Thompson, I said it before. Wendy, this is a future star in this game. I don't care what anybody says. His demeanor, and then even when they lost the game last night, excuse me using the word, did you see how pissed he looked? It's a regular season game. It's a regular season game before All-Star break, and he looked furious. I'm telling you, this brother's a rough rider. He's a competitor, high-end competitor, only his second year in the league. I love this kid. And that damn Jalen Green, he's going to be a star too. Look, I like what I'm seeing in Houston. Shagun didn't play last night. Just like John Morant didn't play on this side, Shagun didn't play on this side. The Houston Rockets, if the Houston Rockets and the Memphis Grizzlies ended up in the Western Conference Finals, and I ain't throwing no shade on Oklahoma City because my man SGA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, my league MVP last year and this year, damn it. I mean, that brother's special. But if these two teams end up in the Western Conference Finals, I think it would be fantastic for the NBA. The Houston Rockets are coming, and Wendy, let me tell you something. Ime Udoka gonna win a championship. Tell me, Fertitta, Ime Udoka's gonna win you a championship. Them brothers gonna win a championship. I'm telling you right now, within the next 3 to 4 years, they winning a championship, if not sooner. I love what I'm seeing from the Houston Rockets. I love it. Love it.
And what's, Amen and Azur Thompson's birthday was yesterday. I think they turned 21. Yes. So maybe 22, but they're very young. And that's the excitement about the Rockets. This team, and look, they've been one of the best clutch teams in the league. They went, I think, 1 of 12 down the stretch of this game. You got to give the Grizzlies credit for winning the game. But that was an aberration. They usually win a game like that. And if they had Şengün, maybe they would have. Of course, they didn't have John Morant with Memphis. But what's so exciting about the Rockets is how young they are, and they've got a ton of draft capital that they can use either to draft more players or to make a trade. They and the Thunder are exciting because they can get so much better going into the future.
Mm-hmm. And they're second and third in the West currently.
They're 22. They're 22, Wendy. They just turned 22.
As it stands.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Okay.
Hi, Wendy. Great to have you with us. I'm going to keep it rolling here. Let's get into the 2025 NBA All-Star rosters. They've been set. So after last week's announcement of the 10 starters, Thursday brought us the 14 final selections. Will be classified as reserves at All-Star Weekend in San Francisco in February. So, of course, I just want to point out here that the typical structure, a typical starter-reserve structure for All-Star selection is going to be a little different this year. Rather than a traditional 2-team All-Star setup, 4 teams will play on All-Star Sunday. All right, so the All-Star reserves, as I mentioned, announced Thursday. In the East, Damian Lillard, Darius Garland, Jaylen Brown, Cade Cunningham, Tyler Hero, Evan Mobley, Pascal Siakam all earned spots. And out West, Victor Wembanyama, Anthony Davis, James Harden, Jaren Jackson Jr., Alperen Şengün, Jalen Williams, and Anthony Edwards rounding out those reserves. All right, gentlemen. Stephen, I'll start with you here. Do you have any issues with the All-Star game reserves list?
Yes, they're both out of the Western Conference.
Okay.
What the hell is up with Norman Powell? Why isn't he on this team? They've played 47 games. 38 of them have been played without Kawhi Leonard. And they are 27-20, if I remember correctly. This brother's averaging 24 a game. He's shooting 43% from three-point range. He is flat-out baller, and he has been a reserve for the vast majority of his career. All this brother Norman Powell does is show up to work. All he does is show up to work consistently. Throughout the years, he's been a reliable force off the bench. But now that he's been asked to give you more, he's giving more. Now, James Harden's been fantastic. Very proud of that brother in the way that he's been looking. And James Harden, as far as I'm concerned, has resurrected himself and reminded us of who the hell he is. Okay, and he's been a leader, by the way, and always reliable because, you look at Boston and Brooklyn, Brooklyn and Philadelphia and all this stuff, and Houston and him wanting his way out there. But for the most part, the brother showed up to work throughout his career, okay? And he's showing what he could do. But Norman Powell, talk about an opportunity to show appreciation for a brother that shows up and does his job with no acclaim, no notoriety or whatsoever. It's time he gets it. He gonna get it right now on First Take. He should have been on this All-Star game, okay? Another person that we need to mention is Kyrie Irving. Dallas wins when he's on the court, y'all. And this brother's been averaging about 24, 25 a game, damn self. Kyrie Irving is a showstopper. If ever there was a person that was made for All-Star Weekend, it's Kyrie Irving, okay? We can't, and Luka's been hurt. And so we got to look at what Kyrie Irving brings to the table, okay, and understand his greatness. So those two names really jumped out at me. Outside of that, I know people are making noise about LaMelo Ball. LaMelo Ball, my brother, let me say this to you. You're a terrific player, terrific talent, averaging 28 a game. You shoot 42% from the field. Shoot 33% from three-point range. That's volume shooting right there. Last but not least, and not to say you don't have mad skills, because you do, and you're a showstopper yourself. But your team, I don't want to hear arguments about a team that's 12 or 32. I know it's individual acclaim. I get that. But 20 games under 500? I don't want to hear about all-star. It would have been nice if he made it. But I'm not going to make a case to support it. That's not what we're saying about Dallas, and it damn sure ain't what we're saying about the Clippers with Kyrie Irving and Norman Powell, respectively. That's the difference, LaMelo. You're great. You're going to be even greater. It's great to see you back on the court. It's great. But we need your team to win a little bit more. Just a little bit.
Yeah, Molly, the LaMelo thing is interesting because what Stephen A. said is correct, and he's been a volume scorer. He leads the league in shots, and he's up there in points, but he leads the league in shots. The thing that's interesting here is that he was the #1 vote getter among all guards in the Eastern Conference. The fans very clearly want to see LaMelo on All-Star Weekend. However, the players voted him third, which they thought, I guess, he should be on the team, but the players did not put him as a starter. The media had him way back in 7th. Yeah. I didn't have him as one of my 2 starters. I would have had him on my team. And the coaches who vote for the All-Star reserves didn't have him on here, and so kind of the players, the coaches, and the media all are agreeing with Stephen A. I am a little bit sympathetic, though, that All-Star Weekend has been so bad for the last few years.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And so convoluted what they're trying to do to try to draw eyeballs. Yeah. This is, Stephen A., this is the first time they've used this system for about 8 or 10 years now, where there's sort of the 3-prong effect. It's really to invalidate the idea that somebody can get a bunch of votes. Like Zaza Pachulia, for example, was almost voted in one year, and so they did this sort of check and balance. But this is the first time a leading vote getter in his position hasn't made it. I think it definitely verifies LaMelo is a polarizing player, but I don't know if it's the best thing for the game. And I will say this, the Hornets are terrible. They are 1-12 when he does not play. They are 11-20 when he does. He does help them when he's out there.
I'm sorry to step on you. Does that really factor into this, the team's record when they're making this decision for media?
Sometimes. Look, when you look at Darius Garland, Cleveland's the #1 seed. I know that, but Cleveland's the #1 seed, and so they're an elite level, and he's playing damn good basketball. So in LaMelo's case, I'm not saying he doesn't deserve to be an all-star. Please don't misinterpret what I'm saying, Wendy. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve to be an all-star. I'm saying that when you look at the reserves and you see who was picked before him, it's hard to make a case for him over them, considering the volume shooting, considering how the Hornets are 12-32, considering how well those other guys are playing and how their teams have benefited from it. All of those things get taken into consideration. It's hard to look at LaMelo and say, move them aside. But I will say, considering the way All-Star Weekend has looked, the fan vote needs to matter significantly more than everybody else because they're the ones that you want to watch.
Yeah.
I also will say I agree with Stephen A. about Norman Powell, and I'll give Stephen A. credit because he has been talking about Norman Powell for years. He's a great worker. But I also think that James Harden is a good story. He hasn't been an all-star the last couple of years, and they are a great story with the Clippers. I honestly think that James would take the honor and hand it to Norman if he could. And I will also point out when it comes to Kyrie as well, Anthony Davis might not be able to play in this game. He's got this injury. There's going to be at least one injury replacement. Let's see who Adam Silver goes with in that West.
Yeah, we have to go to break. I'm killing the producers. I just want to say this really quickly. As far as the LaMelo, it kind of brings me back to our Olympics conversation, Stephen A., when we were talking about Caitlin Clark getting a nod for eyeballs and that kind of thing in terms of who the fans are saying that they want. All right, we'll leave it a little bit. We have to find, and we can revisit it. We talked about marketability, all those things. We can't do it right now. I apologize for bringing it up.
That's my point.
I'm on fire. It's NBA,